All right. Okay. So if you can see on your screen, okay, I'm showing you the self-test for lecture 3 strategic workforce planning. So the students who have attempted this self-test are 14. So let us see the 14 students. You can see that the marks is there. Okay, so I believe that whenever I have given you guys the marks, right, you so I'm not sure how does it look like, but anyway, it shows that your answers have been checked and marked. Okay, but none of you have received any comments. I tak ada tulis apa-apa comment for your answers. I just give you guys marks lah. Sebab banyak sangat kan, so I also need to do it fast. Okay, so you can see that okay, so ada juga yang tak complete lagi. Okay, ada yang macam dia dah attempt first time, lepas tu dia tak buat lagi. Don't worry about it. Okay, as long as it's there. Okay, as long as you have looked at it, you have tried to answer it, should be no problem. Okay, I understand that there are some issues that have been raised to the UTHM regarding this task. Okay, and some of the students mentioned that this is so burdensome. Sebab yes, I know it's too much, okay, because we have 14 topics representing 14 weeks, okay, and then you guys ada macam ni kan, ada 3 soalan. Lepas tu you guys ada self check, assessment and then self test. Ada 3 self. Okay, so siapa yang berjaya buat ketiga-tiga self check, self assessment and self test tu memang I tabik spring. Okay, as for the requirement, hanya self test sahaja yang you perlu completekan, kan, that representing the attendance. But of course but we do understand that this is online distance learning course, okay, and I believe the coordinator is doing something for that, okay, and we are already just more than halfway of the semester, and it's kind of a big effort for you to get to these 14 topics to do the self-test. And I was surprised that although belum sampai week 14 dah ada yang dah sampai, dah buat dah kan. So congratulations to all of you. Okay, hopefully that okay, the issues that have been raised will be taken care of, okay, and we are trying to give you the best the best that we can, okay, for this particular program. All right, so hold on. Actually today, okay, I nak cover topic on VUCA, all right, and then some of the strategic HRM and the strategic planning, yeah. So okay, sekejap kita tengok sampai week berapa, week 14 sekejap cuba I bagi tengok week 14. Okay, so kita ada sampai week 14, topik 14. Self-test, okay, kita buka self-test for lecture 12. Leadership Interactional Framework for Analyzing Leadership. So kita dah ada 9 yang attempts, kan? So well done. Okay, so we can see that here. Okay, you can see that. Oh, ada lagi yang baru masuk ni. Thank you for Nizam, Agnia dan juga Aizan Najwa yang baru je buat. Okay, pada tengah hari tadi, hari ni, Aizan Najwa pada 7:59. Okay, thank you. Actually, while you're listening to me, you can also do this. Kan? So yang ni semua yang I belum sempat lah kan, requires grading. Okay, well done. Thank you so much. And I believe this is a great effort that you have done. Aduh, kenapa lah I punya komputer ni tak boleh nak buka. Okay, never mind. Let me just find other slides, okay. Ataupun we can use this, yeah. Sekejap. Okay, let's see. Okay. Okay, I have this forum. I hope that you guys can see this. I have mentioned about, let's discuss about VUCA here. Okay, so we've got 2 replies, okay, from Nandini, okay, Amir, Hazim dan juga Nandini. Thank you for your response, okay. Actually, the question has been posted on the 25th November about VUCA, okay. So, yeah, thank you to both of you who have responded to this. Okay, those who have not, maybe you can just quickly find time while we are doing this lecture. We can, you can answer this while listening to me. Okay, all right. So now, so my intention today is to look into the first 2 topics on strategic HRM as well as VUCA. Okay, so I'm still having problem with my computer, okay, because I have another computer at home, which is the desktop, and the slides is in the laptop, and the laptop is having a problem. But never mind, I'll find a way on how to discuss this further with you guys, okay? All right. Let me see in my drive, what do I have? Okay, hold on. Okay, I've got it. All right. So we do have this. All right. Okay, so let me just close this and I'll share my slides from the drive. Okay, so I have this, this is basically on the strategic, okay, strategic HRM. So let me just put it to the slideshow. All right, okay. I hope that you can already see this. All right. So, okay. So thank you very much for being patient with me and waiting for the things to be settled down. So now I have managed to find these my my slides that are, because when you are working with many devices, sometimes there are things that are not up to date and it's in one thing, not in another device, so never mind. So I managed to find these strategic human resource management slides. As you can see from from our module. Okay, so remember that in your topic 1, you should be covering about human capital management and what is the differences between human capital and human resource management. Okay, and you can see that nowadays people are not only mentioning human resource, they use talent management. Okay, and these terms evolved, okay, from one time to another time, and now they are referring to human resource as the human capital, okay, and human capital with talent. So basically the foundation is the human resources in the organization. Okay, the people who are working is one of the resources. If you refer to the theory by resource-based view theory, okay, resource-based view theory, RBV, okay, they mentioned that in order for an organization to be competitive, okay, in comparison to other organizations, they should have an efficient resources. And one of the resources is the human being, okay, human being or human capital. Okay, when we talk about capital, okay, it's basically the assets to the organization. When we talk about human resources, it's just like resources that we use their energy, okay, to perform whatever duties that they have to perform. It can be from very lower level of hierarchical in the organization, like the operational workers, to the top management, to the C-suite of the organizations, right? But when we talk about human capital, capital means the assets. So how do we basically treat our employees? How do we basically engage with them? How do we make sure that they can retain in organization is another perspective. So that's why in this particular subject, we have diverted the term from human resources to human capital. Okay, human capital. So, but still, the thing is similar. Now, we don't have a term that called strategic human capital management. No. Okay, it's still the same, strategic human resource management. So in this content, okay, of the slides, what I'm trying to share with you is that, okay, when we talk about strategic at the front, okay, strategic at the front, what does it mean by that? Okay, so strategic means whatever that we are planning for the organization in the context of human resources, of human capital, it must be related, yeah, to the strategic directions of the organizations. So we have to know. Most of you, I believe, are working, and we have been in your organization. Some organizations, they really, they really make sure that everyone in the organization know what is the strategic direction of their company. Okay, when we talk about strategic direction, it's always relate to the strategic planning, okay, the short term, medium term, long term planning of the organizations. How do they want to achieve their vision and missions? And these are all under the strategic planning. Later in semester 3, I believe you'll be learning about strategic management. So we talk about strategic. Okay, so organizations have their direction, their goals. What do they want to achieve in certain period of time? Okay, and of course, we look into the slide. It says here that it involves the development of a consistent, aligned collection of practices, programs, and policies to facilitate the achievement of the organization strategy objective. So, what is the strategy objective? Kan, setengah company, okay, they have depending on their size, depending on their growth. Okay, when we talk about multinational companies like Adidas, Nike, kan, kita semua pakai kan, Skechers, whatever it is kan. So initially like Nike, they didn't venture into diversification of the product kan. Dia hanya fokus buat apa dulu Nike ni. Dia hanya fokus pada buat kasut sahaja kan. But then dia diversify dia punya produk kepada pelbagai produk yang lain. So, for example, dia buat t-shirt, jersey, dia buat bag kan, dia buat bola, dia buat the sports, any other sports attire. Okay, so it means that Nike, okay, when its first establishment, dia punya produk hanya kasut. But then dia pada waktu itu, they have their strategic directions to increase or to double up their sales. Okay, maybe from 50 million to 100 million. Kan. Oh, azan lah kat rumah saya, kita stop sekejap. Bagi laluan sekejap saja. Okay, thank you for joining. All right, so I hope that you are still there. Okay, so I have changed my slides. Okay, so this is my latest slides lah. Okay, all right. So yeah, but it's still the same. It's just the feature is different. Okay, so talking about the strategy. So example that I have given you is the Nike. So initially Nike, without they were first introduce a product of shoes only. Okay, but then they have a strategic planning. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. 5 years, normally 1 year. Okay, short term is 1 year, medium term is 5 years, and longer term is 10 years. So what they do want to achieve in the time. So they diversify the product in order for them to increase and to achieve their strategic objective. So that is one of the what do we call it, examples that I can give, okay, on the multinational companies. We do have also examples of Rubbermaid. Dulu, before the emerging of Tupperware, okay, Rubbermaid is one of the plastic container company that is booming, okay, way back in early 2000. Okay, so because of there is this competition from other companies such as Tupperware, right? So Rubbermaid has to resize or downsize by not focusing on the manufacturing of the product, but just focusing on the retail and the sales. So in order to downsize, okay, and focusing only on retail, so there are many manufacturing workers, operational workers that has to be, some of them has to be laid off, some have to be terminated, some have to be given VSS, the voluntary separation scheme, and the remaining employees need to be moved to the sales department, marketing department. So the HR, okay, the HR department at that time need to think very fast on how to make sure that training, whatever that they are focusing, all the functions in the HR, starting from recruitment, selection, training, performance appraisals, need to be aligned with the strategic objective of the organization, which is to downsize and focusing only on the sales and marketing. So they need to train all the operational workers to become salespeople. So things happen in business. So that's why it's always relate also to the VUCA environment. Okay, VUCA environment. So this is basically the strategic HRM that we are talking about. So whatever that the directions of the organization, the HR department need to be aware of, need to be alert, need to be, what do you call it? Always flexible. Now we call it the term agile. Agile means easily adapting to the changes in the situations. So when we talk about strategic HRM, so it is basically requires abandoning the mindset and practices of personnel management, okay, and focusing on strategic issues than operational issues. Okay, so it means the HR, whoever they are, in a big companies they call it chief CHRO. What is CHRO? Chief HR Officer. Okay, but some organizations like Maybank, MBSB Bank, what else? Asia, they call the the CHRO, they switch into CPO. What is CPO? Chief People Officer. So they want to name it as a people, no more human resources. Why? Because when we talk about human resources, we treat human as resource only, and we don't treat them like a human being, like people. So many C-suite in organizations, the top management, they change it from CHRO to CPO, Chief People Officer, because people representing a person who really taking care of the employees, who recognize not only, recognize their employees, not only from the monetary perspective, like bonus and things like that, but also in their achievements, like employee of the month. They also have a lot of recognitions, programs, stock options. These are the things that are really people are looking for when they want to work in the public listed company lah. Kan? Tapi kalau those who are working at the SME, small medium enterprises, normally company kecil kan, they don't really make money. Their growth is not exponential, just slow moving. Some of the companies, they are not making money at all, rugi lagi kan. Fikir macam mana every month nak bayar gaji pekerja and things like that. So so it is always a dreams to the people who can work in a multinational company, but of course dia punya burden tu sesuai lah kan dengan bayaran gaji yang diterima. Okay, so for your all information, I have just been appointed as the general manager dekat UTHM subsidiary, UTHM Holdings. So I'll be focusing on the training and education. So it's been my dream basically to actually work in a private. So although it's a subsidiary of UTHM, like it's still a government linked company, but I treat it as a private. So this is going to be my second month in January. So the way I think, the way I work, totally different when I work at UTHM as a lecturer. So I can understand how stressful working at private, and sometimes we couldn't even sleep at night because what we think is about how to get more money, how to pay the salary of our workers. So it's very important for us to be creative lah. All right. So integration of all HR programs within a larger framework, facilitating the organization's mission and its objective. Right. So when we talk about okay, when we talk about definition of HRM, so what is it about? Okay, what is it about? So it's basically, okay, okay, let's see this pyramid. So let's look at this pyramid. So how basically we would like to understand about the strategic aims of the organization. So basically, in definition, it's basically about formulating and executing HR policies and practices. Formulating and executing HR policies and practices that produce employee competencies and behaviors that the company needs to achieve its strategic aims. Okay, remember HR functions. As I mentioned just now, we do have several. Okay, if you are working at the private organizations or maybe government, normally they have this. Start with the staffing that will include recruitment, selection, right? And then whenever they have been selected, appointed, okay, you receive appointment letter, they will have this onboarding. What is onboarding? Preparing to be fully diserap masuk kan, onboarding orientation lah kan. It can be sometimes 1 month or maybe up to 6 months depending on the title or position, right? And then after you have been on board, okay, you will be given training. Okay, so training can be many aspects lah. It can be on the job training, it can be simulation training, it can be, lecture, depending on the nature of the training itself. Of course, later we have time, we will go into the training topics. So after training, you'll be given KPI, and then you will be doing performance appraisal, right? And then finally compensation. Of course, in HR functions, we do have also the employee safety, right? Safety and industrial relations. Industrial relations, something related to the disciplinary actions, the Employment Act, what else? The Trade Union Act, and these are the acts that are related under the employment relations. Okay, and not to forget, this is something very interesting and very quite recent on the employee mental health. This is actually can be part and parcel of the compensations, non-monetary compensations. Supposedly, all of you have the chance to be getting whatever that is needed for your mental health. I was actually attended this certified mental health first aider. So by Malaysian Mental Health Association. Masa tu I pergi training tu dengan Dr. Mala. Celoteh Dr. Mala tu kan. So dia pun sama nak belajar tentang mental health. So it was early this year. So what did I do coming back from that course? I think I have helped many people around me, and whenever they need, they can actually sometimes, okay, we don't realize that we have this anxiety disorder problems kan, sampai dia dah really depressed and really in need of help, and that no one is actually they can reach out to. Sebab itu bila you menjadi certified mental health first aider ni, you can actually boleh nampak orang yang memerlukan bantuan, and you are not the one yang bagi dia nasihat. No, you will be the one who becoming a good listener kan, and then you will guide them to who that they should go to. So kita macam menjadi bridge lah kepada doctors, kepada psychologists, psychiatrists dan sebagainya. Okay, so yeah, it's good because based on the statistic, WHO, World Health Organization, saying that before the COVID, the statistics maybe around dalam 10 orang ada 1 orang yang ada masalah mental health disorder ni. Okay, tetapi after the COVID dan sekarang semakin meningkat with the economic recession, with social media, with Gen Z nya kan, Gen Z nya yang they say Gen Z are all the strawberry generations kan. Kenapa? So dia kata WHO punya statistik shows that kan remaja, anak-anak kita ni dan juga workers kan. So daripada tadi 10 ada seorang, sekarang dah makin membimbangkan, daripada 5 orang daripada kita ni ada seorang yang ada masalah mental health. So macam dekat sini kita ada 12 orang lebih kurang kan. So maybe ada 2 atau 3 orang yang ada masalah mental health problem, but they are in silent and they really cry for help, really need to help. And I know that some of you have already issued their concern related to burnout, mental health problem when a lot of abundance of work have been given to you, and yeah, I can understand that. So the coordinator is actually arranging for counselor to share how to cope. Yeah, how to cope. Actually, I am also a motivator and a mental health trainer. So tapi we do have counselor lah yang akan bagi sharing pada you. Also hope that you can come to the session. It's just online. I think somewhere maybe January they will have that. Hopefully you guys semua baik-baik sahaja. If you really need help, okay, I am always just one phone call away if you want me to listen to you and help you. So just contact me. Inshallah, I'm trying to help you. Okay. But topik apa tadi sampai sini kan? Oh, I was talking about the functions kan? Okay, the functions of HR kan? So kita ada sampai tu lah menjaga mental health. So it's important sebab kalau kita dah terpaksa ambil ubat kan? So you kena jumpalah psychiatrist untuk dapatkan medication. Once you on medications, you have to regularly meet the psychiatrist, and then insyaAllah you punya ubat tu akan reduce dan you'll be fine. So I have friends yang dah recover, Alhamdulillah. So it is not impossible to recover. Yeah, you can, insyaAllah you'll be fine. Okay, so talking about this SHRM, Strategic Human Resource Management, formulating, so already read that just now. Dessler is one of the very prominent scholar in HR. So this is the book that I referred to. So he said that, okay, strategic HRM is basically how we are going to design the HR policies in our organization, HR policy, HR practices that can produce employee competencies and behavior that the company needs in order to achieve its strategic aims. So kalau macam berbalik kepada company Rubbermaid tadi kan, Rubbermaid tadi yang bertukar daripada manufacturing container kepada sales and marketing sahaja. So it means that the HR need to prepare, need to be prepared to make sure that they train the employees to have those marketing sales skills. So that is what it meant. So when we talk about this pyramid, you see that what are the strategic aims of the organization. So maybe another example I can give you is that UTHM because I terlibat before I become the general manager for the UTHM Education Training. I was the deputy director for the Technopreneurship Center. So Technopreneurship Center ni buat apa? Dia adalah satu pejabat di dalam UTHM yang menguruskan keusahawanan pelajar. Okay, so we know that UTHM daripada tahun 2020 dia punya directions semasa dia orang membina strategic planning ke arah 10 tahun akan datang 2030, dia nak jadikan universiti ni sebagai Global Technopreneur University. Global Technopreneur University. What is technopreneur? Technopreneur is actually an entrepreneur, okay, yang menggunakan teknologi dalam perniagaan dia, innovative technology dalam perniagaan dia. So we call them as technopreneur. Contoh technopreneur, kenal tak siapa ni? Alamak, lupa nama dia. Datuk apa tu Aerodyne punya CEO. Datuk apa? Lupa Datuk apa. Okay. So dia adalah technopreneur lah. Kenapa dia dia punya bisnes adalah drone business. Dia menggunakan teknologi drone untuk dia bantu pada waktu tu COVID, PDRM memerlukan ni kan pengawasan, siapa keluar rumah, kena tahan, tak boleh keluar rumah. kan, tak pakai mask, so dia menggunakan drone Aerodyne punya business company ni untuk pantau masa MCO tu. So that is technopreneur. Okay, so pada waktu 2020 tu UTHM mempunyai strategic aims to become global technopreneur university by 2030. So that is the strategic aim lah, kan. By 2030 dia panggil GTU. Kalau you perasan ada di mana-mana ada GTU. What is GTU? Global Technopreneur University, GTU, kan. So in order for the university to be a global technopreneur university, kan, so makna kata kita bukan nak student sahaja jadi technopreneur, kita nak staff juga mempunyai minda technopreneur. Sebab tu I juga menjadi trainer kepada UTHM, kepada all the staff. I train all the staff to have this technopreneur mind. That is one of the agenda dalam melahirkan employees yang ada competencies, skills, behavior to achieve the strategic aim tu tadi. So maknanya kita bagi training dia bersasar from whatever the aims of the organizations. Of course kita ada lecturer yang ada syarikat dia sendiri. We call it as a spin-off company. Syarikat yang tertubuh daripada research lecturer. So kita ada banyak dalam berapa company? Banyak, 12 company tak silap I. So they are technopreneur juga dalam UTHM and they have to pay certain licensing kepada UTHM every month. Macam tu, every year. Okay, so kita beri dia latihan competency, skills and behavior berkaitan dengan keusahawanan, specializing on technology, kan. So dia turun ke bawah. So kemudian after that we have to make sure that apa saja HR policies, practice that enable us to produce employees with that behavior, competency and skills. So this is how from the aims they guide the HR. Then they know that from the aims they know that what are the skills needed by the employees, what are the behaviors that we need to establish, what are the competencies that are required, and all the functions of the HR tadi need to be catered to the needs of the strategic aims of the organization. So that is what we meant by the strategic HRM. I hope that's clear. Okay. So yang ini pula, so you all dah baca sebenarnya kan the article, because dia become one of the activities dalam you all punya topic 1 tu. Disparities between conventional and strategic HR. Okay, so yang ini kita ada readings also juga HR transformational model. Okay, so what are the 4 possible roles assumed by the HR function? So kita tengok yang atas ni, strategic focus. As you know, tadi kita bincang extensively about what is the strategic aim of the organization. Supposedly being a HR sepatutnya menjadi change agent. Bila kita fokus kepada aim of the organization, dia menjadi change agent untuk bantu organisasi mencapai apa saja aims yang dia dah tetapkan. And then people dekat sebelah kanan ni, people, what do they do with people? So sebagai HR, okay, kita kena jadi employee champion. Now, what do we mean by employee champion? Maksudnya adalah kita ni sebagai HR, we need to menangkan employees, kan. Menangkan employees. Sometimes kita lah yang menjadi apa, you know, people when they have problems they come to HR. People when they have issues they come to HR. So we are supposedly becoming the employee champion, right? Definition dia luas lah, employee champion, in the sense that we should be able to engage all the employees. We need to be the bridge, we need to be the facilitator, pemudah cara kalau ada problems dan sebagainya, kan. So operational focus. So kita juga berfokus kepada apa saja the operational dalam HR functions, dan juga kita perlu ada systems. Okay, system. So kita become administrative expert dan kita juga strategic partner kepada unit-unit yang lain, function-function yang lain. Strategic partner in the sense that ada HR manager should have a good linkage, good relationship dengan R&D manager, marketing manager, finance manager, admin manager, kan? So they are, so that whatever issues that they raise, HR can pick up, HR manager can pick up and they can bring to the table for the policy changes, policy improvements, apa saja improvement in the guidelines, maybe in terms of the cuti, sistem sini lah. HR perlu ada sistem. So kalau you masih lagi guna thumbprint, punch card, kan? So it's nowadays is digitalization. Nanti kita pergi pada topik digitalization and artificial intelligence. We go to the HR analytics, kan. Sistem yang very basic yang kita ada dalam organisasi, of course lah sistem pembayaran gaji. Kalau you still lagi guna manual, kan, nak bayar gaji guna manual, tak ada specific apps, banyak kan apps yang boleh guna kan. So susah lah. Kalau cuti pun masih lagi buat satu-satu pakai file, pakai kertas. File meja masih lagi ada file meja secara bertulis, file peribadi secara bertulis. I have seen because I think when I went, because I adalah accredited HRD Corp trainer. So I banyak bagi training kepada corporate company dekat KL. So last time I went to I was surprised, Bintulu punya port kan, dekat apa Sarawak kan, so dia orang masih lagi menulis di atas kertas, file peribadi. Training apa dia pergi? Tulis. HR ni tulis. Oh my god, I was like, oh, this is no more zaman batu kan. Kita dah go to the digitalization. You can always upload dekat Drive kan. Bayar je dah sikit dekat Google kan. Upload dekat Drive. But they are still having it. Kata apa tu? I think sometimes the mentality is still traditional and we need people, change agent kan to replace lah. Okay, so what else? Ni lah, ni dia punya. Kita ada dia punya ni lah. Okay, you can see that here. Alright. Communicating changes internally, gaining employees' trust. So employee champion, dia ada represent employees, safeguard interest. Semua ni lah. Okay, so I'll share the slides nanti dalam forum lah, for you to refer to. HRIS, HR Information System lah, kena ada dah. Okay, eliminate manual data entry, boost efficiency, okay, dan sebagainya. Okay, so ini adalah traditional HR versus strategic HR. Okay, so you can see that this one you can read on your own. Okay, kita lajukan sikit. I nak pergi kepada examples lah ni. Hilton, Google, okay, dia orang menggunakan outcomes of strategic HR. Okay. Okay, so this is basically the process lah, kan. Supposedly what is happening dalam organisation model of strategic HRM. So dia dah bukan lagi HR saja, dia mesti ada strategiknya. So dia mesti ada strategiknya. So when we talk about strategic, dia mesti bermula dengan the corporate strategy. Apa corporate strategy company you? Macam tadi I bercakap pasal UTHM. So apa corporate strategy? So of course kita ada banyak lah bila dia cascaded kan kepada banyak function. Contoh Global Technopreneur University, one of it is technopreneurship, memartabatkan technopreneurship dalam university. So budget pun lebih dekat situ, and then training pun lebih dekat situ, and then focusing on the competency skills semua dekat situ, so that will be their priorities. Sebab tu nanti kalau you belajar on the Eisenhower matrix kan, kita kena utamakan yang utama. So manakah yang utama? So dalam konteks ni, corporate strategy, whatever the corporate strategy it is lah, nanti dalam strategic planning punya subject, you'll be learning about what are the various strategies dalam corporate strategy. Diversification, mergers and acquisition, tu dalam practices of multinational companies lah. Kalau kita bercakap small medium enterprises or government sectors is different lah. But of course when we talk corporate strategy, the general term, okay, the general term yang every organization should have. So even you are a small company, maybe some of you are the owner kan, business owner, small business owner. You kena ada strategi, you kena ada vision and mission. Takkan you nak run business you without strategic planning, betul tak? So you have to have this corporate strategy. Apa strategi you? 1 year, 5 year, 10 years. Kan, 1 year. Ni bagus dah awal tahun. Tapi ada satu company dekat Keluang, Gosera, dia buat apa manufacturing companies lah. Dia punya tahun keuangan dia bukan bulan 1, bulan 5 atau bulan 6. Different dia juga company yang macam tu. So tahun keuangan biasa bermula pada bulan 1 lah kan. So apa-apa yang kita nak start boleh bermula dengan bulan 1, so that kita boleh buat KPI review tu every the ideal punya KPI review adalah setiap 3-4 bulan. Ada 3 quarter. 4 bulan pertama, 4 bulan kedua, 4 bulan ketiga. So you can check your KPI kan, based on the corporate strategy you, apa strategi you turunkan dia, cascade dia menjadi KPI. Dan KPI tu diberi kepada siapa owner dia. Kalau you ada beberapa orang dalam company you, if let's say you are small business owner, you ada yang buat operation, maybe marketing, dan maybe ada seorang lagi on the HR and admin contohnya. So you cascade kan, turunkan ke bawah tiga orang ni apa yang dia perlu capai. So nanti dekat unit dia turunkan lagi lah kepada anak-anak buah dia. So that is how we develop. So dalam diagram ni, okay, bila kita nak bina business unit strategy, kita kena tengok juga the external environment dan juga internal environment. So external kita tengok dulu, apa competition yang ada kan. So contoh company lain yang buat bisnes yang sama macam kita. So how are they doing? Are they doing well? What can we do better? Okay, what are the value added that we would like to propose to the market? Things like that. Okay. Tengok semua benda tu. Government regulations. So sekarang kita dah kena e-invoice kan. You pun semua tak boleh lari, kena ada e-invoice kan. So itu nak kena patuh. Okay, and then the technology. Apa yang perubahan teknologi sekarang? Kalau kita bercakap pasal recruitment function kan. So sekarang company besar-besar macam Unilever, macam IBM kan, dia dah tak buat interview pakai orang dah. Kan, dia dah buat interview pakai AI, orang AI. Tapi ada my friend tu, dia kata dia pergi interview tu pakai AI, tapi because of our slang kan different with English US dengan English UK ke apa ke berbeza, so dia tak capture kita punya jawapan tu one of the flaws lah dalam teknologi. Okay, market trends, ni semua nak kena check lah, what is the trend. So sekarang Google pun dah, kalau you buka Google trend ni apa benda yang orang sekarang cari ataupun Google. So daripada situ you boleh tahu apa produk yang you nak jual kan. So it's very interesting to see, okay, to if we know. So that's why kita ni kena sentiasa belajar kan, ilmu tu daripada from the cradle to the graveyard kan, daripada buayan hingga ke liang lahat. So kita kena sentiasa belajar kan. So economic, of course lah, keadaan ekonomi sekarang, inflation sangat tinggi, bawa RM50 apa je kita dapat kan. Lagi sekarang ni kita dah tak bawa duit, dah tak bawa purse dah, bawa handphone je kan. Cuba bayangkan bila berlakunya gempa bumi dekat Japan ke bila 2 tahun lepas kan, semua orang kelang kabut bila dah tak ada line. Siapa yang ada cash dia boleh beli barang. So line semua dah down kan. I pun ada sekali hari tu CIMB clicks put problem. I suka pakai CIMB. Orang kata Maybank lagi bagus. I ada je account Maybank tu tapi entah kenapa tak minat sangat. Tak tahulah. Okay, sebab duit tak masuk ke situ. So I pakai CIMB clicks. Dia glitch kot. Dia glitch. I tak boleh nak scan. Tapi dah tak bawa duit. Orang lain tolong bayarkan. Kan takkan nak hutang kat kedai. Itulah. So yeah, that is one of the issues lah dalam external environment. So supposedly itu semua kita nak kena scan. That is what we call a scanning environment. So gunakan semua tu untuk kita tengok apa business unit strategi kita. So internal environment juga kita kena tengok culture, structure, politics, employee skills, past strategy, semua ni kena evaluate internally. Kadang kita ambitious sebagai CEO, so ambitious, but then employees kita culture dia malas semua, mendung kan. Culture yang orang kata not really ambitious, not really workaholic kan, something like that. Okay, politics, ada politik pula dalam organisasi kan, mengipas dan dah tak pakai kipas dah, sekarang pakai aircon blower kan, dan sebagainya lah, the skills and the past strategy apa. So daripada situ, okay, the first part ni dah selesai, barulah kita nak go to the HR strategy. Daripada semua ni lah, selepas kita dah tinjau semua ni, baru kita dapat bantu create the HR strategy. Apa planning, how we design the job and work system, what workers do, what workers need, how jobs interface with others. Dalam ni juga ada employee separation. Siapa yang dah maybe rasa dia tak nak ni kan, tak nak bekerja, so kita ada scheme ya, tu kita panggil VSS, Voluntary Separation Scheme. So kita kena bayar. Hari tu macam Jacob, I rasa dia bayar dalam 1.5 kan, 1.5 daripada gaji akhir tu kan, gaji akhir kita dia bayar macam mana dia kira berapa amount yang you dapat bila you dapat you nak apply VSS tu. Gaji akhir, contoh 10,000 lah kan, kata gaji akhir, kali dengan 1.5 kali dengan tahun kita bekerja, kali dengan 1.5 rate dia, macam tu lah. So beratus-ratus ribu lah dapat kan kalau gaji besar. So sebab tu certain people they opt for VSS. Dia tak nak dia dah kena terminate, dia opt for VSS. Maybe pada umur 45 kan, lepas tu dengan duit yang banyak tu, sometimes orang dia tak tahu nak berlabur dengan tepat, dengan betul lah, datang scammer, datang love scam kan, macam-macam kan. And then ada juga yang buka Adobe, lepas tu collapse businessnya sebab maybe dekat location tu tak sesuai, really need to be careful when you want to decide to open your business lah, macam tu So that is VSS, law regulating employment, apa laws, okay. So apa lagi, HR information systems, HRMIS, kena ada. So kat sini lah staffing, training, performance management, compensation, labor relation, inilah function yang akhirnya terhasil daripada kesemua proses yang ada di sini ya. Sebab itu it's not easy. If you are working at HR, it is not easy. I just talked to one of the HR manager kan, Gusera dekat Keluang tu kan. Dia baru join dalam sebulan, 2-3 bulan. So many politics, internal politics, and then tak ada succession planning. So that is another issue dalam HR. Nanti kita bincangkan succession planning. Tak ada proper training, tak ada replacement. So banyak issues lah, which then I decided, I kata kalau macam tu, why not? Kami dari UTHM, kita datang sebagai consultant. You all boleh gunakan HRD Corp punya levy kan, sebab diorang ramai pekerja kan, dia ada levy yang banyak. So kita boleh bagi you solution dan kita provide you with training. So So that is actually we can apply that through HRD Corporation. So if you, let's say your company need some consultant to help you to do something or to come up with framework, to come up with maybe SOP and procedures, whatever it is, you can always use HRD Corp Levy. Okay, all right. So apa lagi? Okay, now we go to the VUCA. So selepas habis VUCA ni, habis lah Okay, so VUCA ni apa dia sebenarnya? So kalau you all dah baca, dah buat, ini di dalam second topic if I'm not mistaken. VUCA. So VUCA ni dia adalah volatility, V, uncertainty, complexity and ambiguity. So example VUCA yang berlaku kepada kita satu dunia pada waktu tu adalah COVID-19 lah, bila kita kena lockdown kan. I was like pada waktu tu I kan macam dia kan bulan berapa tu, bulan 3 kan, macam tu kan, bulan 1 kot tak ingat, 2019 kan. So I was like duduk dalam lift yang ada orang yang ada gejala kan. Kan lepas tu I kena quarantine sendiri 3 hari. Kalau tak ada simptom, semua orang tu clear, baru I boleh balik rumah, macam tu lah. Pada waktu tu kita macam rasa, masa tu baru-baru lah, rasa macam ish, nak mati dah ke ni kan. Kan so ada yang kes matilah apalah kan. So we were so scared. That is VUCA at that time, volatile. Things change, happens kan, really fast kan. And macam mana kita nak berhadapan dengan tu, dengan keadaan yang volatile, tak menentu kan. Lepas tu uncertainty, keadaan tak menentu yang there is no certainties yang ish bila nak berakhir ni, kita tunggulah kan. Masa tu Tok Abah kan, kita punya Perdana Menteri pada waktu tu Muhyiddin Yassin, tunggu dia bagi extension lagi kan. Uncertainty, tak menentu, kita tak tahu kita bila boleh masuk kerja, boleh keluar rumah, kita nak keluar pun kita kena dapatkan surat daripada balai polis kan, nak pergi keluar daerah dan sebagainya kan. Kompleks, pada waktu tu pun sangat kompleks situationnya. Dan ambiguity, sama-sama tak tentu, tak ada polisi, tak ada apa kan. Semua yang frontliner pun collapse, ramai sangat yang dijangkiti dan sebagainya. So dalam volatility ni dia ada cara dia macam mana kita nak berhadapan dengannya. So dalam sini yang dibulatkan ni adalah agility. What is agile? Bukan agile, dia agile. Agile means how we can adapt to the changes, to the volatility. So kita dalam HR kita boleh adapt dengan providing training and development, leadership, innovation, creativity and flexible HR policies. Sebab tu HR ni kita tak boleh jadi terlalu rigid. We have to be flexible in the sense that kita be empathy. Tu another konsep tu. Sympathy dengan empathy. Sympathy tu macam kesian kat kau kan, macam tu je. But empathy ni you are in the shoes of the person. Kita boleh feel them. Okay. So training and development, there should be new learning platforms and not just old methods of traditional learning to cope kan. So ada coaching, peers coaching in the organisation. Cakap pasal coaching, last week I pergi Malaysian Institute of Management because I'm also one of the fellow members. So I dapat complimentary invitation sebagai guest lah untuk attend dia punya coaching session. It was like 2 to 4 hours lah session tu. I rasa it's really good. Actually I pun ada coach punya certificate, certified NLP coach. Tapi dah lama tak implement, tak guna lah. But this time I refresh balik knowledge yang I dah pernah ada tentang coaching. So coaching ni ya Allah sangat powerful. Okay, kalau kita ada masa nanti kita akan bincang tentang coaching. Tapi hari ni because dia ada coaching, so sebenarnya nak cakap pasal VUCA ni, V ni, volatility ni boleh dihadapi dengan agility. So agile tu kita kena ada training and development yang sesuai kan, kena ada coaching method dalam training tu, kena ada mentoring juga, hand holding services. Hand holding ni apa? Hand holding ni macam pimpin kan, hand hold, pimpin tangan. So pimpin tangan tu macam mana kita bagi dia coaching, mentoring, training, consultation. 4 perkara ni dalam hand holding. Tu kita kena ingatlah sebagai orang HR. So flexible policies, kita kena ada policy yang flexible, kita kena ada strategic thinking kan, ability to think strategically and to take decisions accordingly. Sebab tu kena fast action, fast results kan, cepat. Global mindset, global mindset experienced manager should be having the global mindset while coping up with the environment, and this has been key skill for the HR personnel. Global mindset ni macam mana? So you ada mindset yang terbuka kan, global, think internationally, think wider, think more broad spectrum, things like that. Okay, alright. Uncertainty, uncertainty pula, okay, uncertainty ni adalah ketidakpastian. So macam mana kita nak hadapinya? Kita hadapinya dengan understanding. So, kalau you perasan VUCA ni dilawankan dengan VUCA juga, V-U-C-A. Cuma susunan dia tak samalah kan. So untuk kita di dalam HR ni, managing quality for V and U. So untuk uncertainty ni, U yang ni, kita hadapi dia dengan understanding. So understanding ni employee and company relationship, employee management. So ability to question, emotional intelligence, ambition. So cakap pasal emotional intelligence, kan, this is very topik yang I really minat lah kan, emotional intelligence, spiritual leadership, because to me seorang leader perlu ada emotional intelligence. Apa yang dimaksudkan dengan emotional intelligence? Kalau based on the Goldman punya prinsip, ada 4 konsep, iaitu kita kena ada self-aware. Seorang leader, you have to have your self-aware. You tahu keadaan diri you. You aware tentang perasaan you. You aware tentang keadaan diri you macam mana pada waktu itu. Kan? So you self-aware. Okay. Dan you tahu keupayaan you, dan you tahu what is your capacity, capability, your strength, your weaknesses, semua you tahu. You are self-aware of yourself. That is first concept of emotional intelligence. Kedua, you kena social aware. Bila kita dah self-aware, kita social aware kepada orang. Kita social aware, maksudnya aware kepada social, orang di sekeliling kita. So kita nampak staff kita murung, jalan tunduk, jalan perlahan. So kita dah boleh, maybe pada bila kita berjumpa dia, kita boleh be very empathy, kan, empathetic, very empathy. Ask further, how can we help them, how can we bring them out from that particular state yang dia rasa tak seronok, tak happy, tak, okay. So that is social aware. Yang ketiga, dia kena ada dipanggil relationship management, kan, relationship management. Okay, so relationship management, how do they actually manage dia punya relationship? Setengah orang dia tak ada hubungan baik dengan setengah orang yang lain. Kenapa? Because ada gap, ada barrier, kan? But knowing that, kan, how they actually have those kind of self-aware, ada social aware, dan dia and then manage to maintain good relationship. Kan? Yang ketiga, saya dah lupa pula apa, tapi you all boleh je buka ada psychology satu website ni, dia boleh test kita punya level social aware, self aware tu dekat mana, dekat level mana, rendah ke tinggi ke. So I actually ada course, ada training training modul yang khas untuk I bantu macam mana nak ada emotional intelligence yang tinggi for high performance. Kan, kita boleh bantu orang tu jadi aware tentang dia punya emotional intelligence dan perform better dalam organisasi dia. Okay. So seterusnya kita ada buka yang ketiga iaitu complexity. So complexity ni dia kena dihadapi dan clarity, open communication, knowledge management and organization management. Dan yang ketiga adalah ambiguity. Ambiguity yang tak jelas sama-sama, kita perlu ada vision. So vision perlu ada about ethical leadership, organizational culture, strategy formulation dan juga experimentation. Okay, so with that, I stop there. Any questions? Ada soalan? Lama I membebel. So dah pukul 9.19. Ada soalan? Just want to ask as you understand. Okay, Agnia, okay. HR is more about taking care of employees, but as I see now, most HR is more about taking care of the company. So where is the effectiveness for HR function? Okay, Agnia Amar. Okay, thank you for the question. So the question is, okay, taking care of employees, but most HR is more about taking care of the company. Okay. All right. Okay. So Agnia, so when we talk about HR, betul lah. Yeah, as you understand, this actually taking care of the employees. Sebab itu function-function yang dia ada tu is about how do they actually manage the employees, okay? How do they manage the employees according to the strategic aims of the organization. Itu bila kita masukkan konsep strategik dalam tu sekali lah, kan? So, kalau you lihat all the functions tadi dalam diagram tu, yang dekat hujung tu ada the recruitment, the selection, the training, kan? Is actually to take care of the employees. Is actually to manage the employees, to do whatever it needs to do when it comes to employees. So HR is that. Sebab itu kalau you cakap nampak macam semuanya tentang company, taking care of the company. Of course, when we take care of employees, we are going to take care of the company. When the employees are happy, they can work so well in the company and they can produce more productivity with better product quality. And at the end of the day, the company will reap the benefits. You know what I mean? So now, kat mana yang nak kata employees ni beri perhatian, kan? Sebab itu kalau kita tengok, maybe recruitment adalah proses pengambilan, selection proses pemilihan, kemudian training, kan? Training. So training tu, okay, sebab itu bila you masuk je bekerja, you diberi JD, kan, job description. Supposedly dalam JD tu ada sekali you punya career path, kan, career path ataupun career ladder. Contoh, you have been recruited, you have been appointed as a HR exec. So apa career ladder you? You kena tahu tu. Itu adalah one of the taking care of the HR function lah, yang nak take care kepada employees, that we need let them know that you once you sampai certain level, you dah eligible to go to the next level, HR exec, to become senior HR exec and then to become HR manager. Bila dah jadi HR manager, you maybe boleh jadi managing director and then you dah boleh jadi chief people officer. So itu adalah timeline you. But certain people, they can work so well. They can perform their work really efficient, tetapi maybe dia tak ada leadership qualities, dia tak ada leadership skills, dia tak mampu nak manage orang. But then it comes training, then it comes how the organisation can see you as a talent pool. Masukkan you dalam talent pool that you need to be groomed. Grooming to become a good leader. So this is all about HR. Inilah HR. So we are not actually, sebenarnya bila kita jaga pekerja kita baik-baik, in the end it give good investment to the company. In return, you akan buat kerja best, terbaik. But how to make sure that you punya welfare terjaga, kan, depends. Certain organisation tak peduli pun dia nak marah orang, dia marah je, kan. Bos nak baling handbag, nak baling file, baling je, nak baling kursi, baling je. Sebab tu pada it depends pada culture juga. Maybe the culture, the culture in the organisation, like top management semua macam gitu, kita tak boleh nak ubah. But they really need to understand about the emotional intelligence. Nowadays people, dia tak suka, dia berhenti je, lagi-lagi generation Z, kan. So they can't stand with this pressure like this. It happens in many, adalah organisasi yang I heard that, diorang kalau nak marah, nak maki hamun je, kan. So tak peduli tentang perasaan. So that is one thing lah. Ada berlaku, but that is why kita cuba, bila kita belajar, when you are all enroll to this MBA program, you should be another level, kan, another level. You know more about the concepts, the term, the strategies, and you have to always open to wider knowledge lah. Contohnya tentang emotional intelligence, mental health issues. Sebab itu bila kita sebagai leader, I believe that most of you are maybe leader in your organisation, kan. Semua itu penting, emotional intelligence, mental health, sebab people are becoming more fragile. The world is now changing. People can, seorang-seorang duduk diam-diam, cut their hands. This is so scary to say, but it happens. It happens to our school children nowadays, kan, sangat membahayakan. So that is the thing lah. From the earlier step, you have been appointed, you dah ada JD, job description yang detail, everything about you. And then as you go through the process, you pergi training, you dapat ilmu, you dapat knowledge, then you can perform better. And then you dapat pula the performance appraisals, how you been guided. Performance appraisal pula, an ideal version of performance appraisal, it should be 360 degrees. Kan? 360 degrees maksudnya bukan hanya bos saja yang bagi markah kat kita. So it should be coming from the 360 degrees lah. It can be our customer, it can be our subordinates, it can be our colleagues, it can be from the top management, so it should be 360 degrees. Barulah you mendapat appraisal yang betul. Kalau seorang aja pula tu, orang tu bias. Orang tu ada beef. Tu bahasa-bahasa ni Gen Z yang belajar daripada student. Ada beef. Beef tu apa? Sakit hati. Orang tu pula yang dia pergi vent. Ni bahasa-bahasa Gen Z, vent. Pergi mengadu, kan. So macam-macam. So that is what I meant. Okay, so ini I hope it helps. So sebenarnya HR is actually to take care of the employees, while at the same time to achieve the strategic aims of the organization. Alright, clear. Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, so any more questions? Ada lagi tak soalan? Okay, kalau tak ada, I think that's all for today. But we still need to have 3 more classes. And kita pun baru je cover sikit je. Kalau nak ikutkan banyak topik, kan. So there are very interesting to share with all of you. I'm so pleased to have this session with you. So nanti kita ada until 19, kan. 19 hari bulan bermulanya revision week. So kelas tak boleh diadakan pada 19 lah. So kita akan ada sampai 18 Januari. So we have around 18 days lagi. Kita hanya ada tinggal 3 lagi pertemuan. So nanti I akan buat poll lah bila yang you all free, you all boleh masukkan dalam poll tu which date that you are available. Cuma yelah ni kan hujung tahun. Tengoklah nanti, I rasa cuma next week I sangat busy. Boleh ke kita buat maybe 31 Wednesday? Kita buat one more. Kalau boleh 31 Wednesday, kalau boleh can you guys bagi thumbs up ke? Irfan kata okay, Aiza kata boleh. So thank you. Alright, so kita akan buat next class pada hari Rabu. So I will continue with discussion of the next following topic. With that, I thank you very much. Thank you for listening and jumpa lagi on Wednesday. Bye-bye. Assalamualaikum and have a good night. Thank you. Sama-sama.